Hello and welcome to a long overdue garden tour. This is the first week where it's sunny and warm up here. It's been a very long, very cold spring, and the winter wasn't too bad. We haven't really had any snow or anything like that, and it rarely went below freezing. But it's just been grey and just never-ending drizzle and so much wind. It's been horrible, and we've not really wanted to be outside. But now it's sunny and it's really lovely. It's been a great winter. We've had fresh food from the garden every day because the overwintered plants outside have done amazingly. Ones in the grow house have done well too, but they've really only come into their own in the last 4 weeks, maybe March, I would say, when they just suddenly kicked into gear. We've been getting massive leaves of them every day. But the outside ones have done wonderful. It's been things like chard, perpetual spinach, beetroot, and lots of different kales and cabbages, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, all for their leaves. So we've been eating, if not salad, and stir fries and pasta and just everything. And it's been absolutely, absolutely wonderful. We've never managed this before in this way, to this extent. And we're so grateful that that's happening. The older plants are all starting to flower now. They're almost going over, but the flowers are delicious. So we've not removed them yet. We're going to wait until we have little plants ready to go out, which will be at least another 2 weeks. Our last frost date is mid-May, so we'll wait until at least the end of April to put things out here, because we have tunnels where things can go. If you don't have a tunnel, then chance it and maybe cover them with fleece or bubble wrap if there's a frost predicted. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, the flowers, we're harvesting them and we're eating them raw and cooked, and they're like broccoli florets. They're absolutely amazing. A lot of stuff has happened. So the free food garden that you'll have heard about online is actually happening now. We've put the beds in, raised lots of money for it, we're able to buy stuff for it. That's amazing. And this week we started giving out plants to people. I think we gave plants to 13, 14 people in the end, something like that. But we've got a list of 30, so there'll be more next week. And we've also started doing the first lot of salad bags, which is really exciting. That's really nice. We applied for funding and were successful for a couple of polytunnels, like the big grow house that we have, the 6 by 3 meters, and 600 litres of compost as well. So that will see us through the summer, through the autumn, through the winter. And it means we can grow food for the community, grow more plants, and also use them as teaching spaces next year, hopefully in conjunction with the local primary school, but with any groups, any courses. And that's really nice. We'll also use some of the donations to offer free or subsidized courses and to just provide more teaching stuff and more expertise and more materials to the local community as well. The business side of things, I'm going to put this in inverted commas, the business side of things is doing well as well. We've had so many orders. With the corona crisis, everyone's trying to grow their own. So we've opened up as many orders as possible, as many orders as we can actually manage. Sowed about 6,000 seeds so far, which is that's a lot. I never saw myself doing this. So from now on, I'll be packing orders every week until we're caught up. It's delightful. I'm so happy, but it's also a lot. It's a big thing, big commitment. I'm fretting a lot about what happens if all the plants die or a chicken gets in and eats them all or something like that. But it's going okay so far. The plants are happy. Customers have been really nice. We've been able to do some free boxes, some for postage only, and we've had donations to cover postage as well. So we'll be able to do some of those, and that's really nice. Most of the folks that I've chatted to don't really have much experience growing. I just wanted to try it out, and it's really lovely that we're able to facilitate that, and in the nicest possible way. I hope they don't come back next year, because they'll have got the bug and they'll be doing their own. They realize they can do it themselves quite happily and easily. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I've also started a Patreon. It's an online creator maker space where I do weekly updates about what we're sowing, planting, harvesting, and building. Just a way to chat to folks as well. There's a message function, so I'm chatting to my patrons. Weird word. It's a $5 a month, and it supports the free food garden, and it's just a bit of kind of ongoing income that we know we can rely on. to do these kind of things, to buy seeds, to buy compost, to subsidize places on courses. So if you're interested, I'd love it if you could subscribe and support us that way. I'm seeing it as an online grow along, so I'm telling you what I'm doing when, so that you have an idea of what happens all the time. And it's also a sort of one-on-one teaching tool, so please use the message function there to talk to me, ask me questions. We can just take it from there. And that's been really nice. I'm also running what we used to call the online garden design, but it turned out what it really was is a garden mentoring program. So it's done by Skype and messages. We do an hour-long chat about how to grow, what folks' space is like. And then after that, it's lots of messages and free plans and things like that. And it's basically access to me for the rest of the season whenever you need it. And I've been really, really enjoying hearing people's stories and seeing pictures of their gardens develop and just figuring out what works for them and in their conditions. So it's not a sort of ready-made garden package. It's whatever you guys need, whatever you want to get out of it. And hopefully by the end of the season, you have all the confidence you need to grow your own food successfully next year. So that's it for me for now. Enjoy the walk around the garden. I hope it goes well. I've lost my tripod, so it's all a bit, jiggly, but hopefully that's all right. Wander around, and I look forward to seeing your comments and chatting to you. Bye. A while ago, Seamus cleared this shed, which we're going to use as a greenhouse for the free food garden, to grow tomatoes and chilies on the windowsill. But now it's a seedling house. Loads of trays in it. Each of these trays holds 84 seeds, 84 plants, except for some of them, like beetroot and things like that, that we have multi-sowed, so they have more than me. You can see the radish here, there's more than one plant in each compartment. Some flower trays as well, all doing well. The free food garden is starting to take shape. We've put all our beds out and we filled most of them, put a bench in, and we started putting some plants out. And this is where folks collect their plants and food. These boxes were all brought by folks who picked up plants, and we'll be using them for the next load of plants and also for some food when the time comes. Seamus has been collecting manure in these buckets, two of which are actually laundry baskets, to top up our beds in the main garden, to build new beds, and also to put into these beds here, and we'll be putting food out soon. We're hoping to move this grow house soon to a different spot so that we can build beds in this prime sunny position. So it's very overgrown with weeds, but there is quite a lot of food in it too, including massive spinach leaves, which you can see down there, look at that. Here at the bottom of the garden we've got the garlic bed, which is doing well. Almost all of the garlic that we planted has come up, and there's still some little bits emerging now. See this row here? They're only just coming up, but they're all looking happy and like what they're supposed to look like this time of year. The bed behind it is the bed that our homeschooling group built, and we will be growing some food on it for the free food garden as well. And over there are the 2 new potato beds we built. 1, 2. They are both no-dig beds, cardboard on grass, topped up with horse manure. You can see the ridges where we've put in potatoes. This one has 56, and the second bed here that is slightly smaller has 48, and we've also put some potatoes in the small polytunnel for an earlier harvest. You can see this is how we construct the beds and how much manure we put on. We started putting some wood chips around it for paths as well over there. We put in a new fence along here to keep the chickens in, just chicken wire and sticks, and never so often one of them manages to get across. I can see Horace on the wrong side of the fence up there, having a chat with the ducks. Oh no, Horace, you're not supposed to be on that side. Our tiny orchard is doing well. Remember, these are smaller fruit trees we planted to keep them small and manageable and harvestable. This apple here usually does really well, and the plum in the middle here is starting to fruit, but the other trees are still really young, but so far looking all right. I'm particularly excited about this little tree here. It's tiny. It's a nectarine, which Seamus got me for my birthday last year, and it's really lovely. I don't think it's going to flower this year, but it's growing leaves, so it's not dead. We're very pleased with that. Things are looking good in the big grow house, the nursery grow house. There's still food in there on the floor, overwintered crops that we're eating now and have been eating throughout the winter, but it's all about the seedlings now. As you can see, there's some holes in these pots because we started posting our seedlings out to people this week, and also to give some away for free as part of the Fern Free Food Garden. I think we've done about 370 plants this week, the first week where we've done this properly, and I'm pretty proud of that. That's a lot of plants. But as you can see, there's loads more coming as well. And we'll still have to get ours in the ground. We haven't started yet because it's too cold. We only put some broad beans in and things in a tunnel. So that's our task for next week or the week after, depending on the weather. We've also still got quite a lot of food in the ground in here, and we've been harvesting things every day. You can see that some of it is going to flower now, but we don't mind that. We'll keep harvesting the leaves. That's a pretty nice thing to have this time of year. It's the first year that we've managed to grow things in the tunnel over winter. I'm very glad we did. This here is the smallest grow house. It's 3 by 2 meters, and it does us quite well. And it's now full of plants that we're growing in here so that we can have a faster harvest than waiting for things outside. Both sides are full, and where there's gaps means that the plants dry. They're still really tiny, or in the case of this area there that we've put potatoes in, we're leaving this staging in for a little while until the plants are so big that it upsets them and gets in its way. In here we've got onion, Swiss chard, lettuces, pea, more Swiss chard, kale, different kinds of kale, some broad beans. This I'm not sure, it's called Mibuna. I've never grown it before. We got it in a in a seed selection, so we'll see what it does. These are radishes, and then some overwintered little cabbage plants behind it. And down here we've got some lamb's lettuce that I think is starting to flower. It might be too warm for it in here. Some carrots at the back, some what looks like Swiss chard but was labelled rainbow beetroot, so we'll see what it does. And then in this empty bed here there's potatoes and also some mizuna, which we've enjoyed growing. And then coming around here we've got leek plants. These were sowed last summer, so they're quite a long way ahead, and we're hoping for an earlier leek harvest. And then some rows of different kinds of kale in here, as well as some Swiss chard. Now for the big 3 beds. This looks quite different to last time you saw it, because we've built this massive fence from 3 pallets. The ducks kept getting in and eating our greens, and we got upset about that, so we put a fence in. Everything you see here, with the exception of the broad beans, is stuff that's been in here since last year. All these leafy plants, all the greens, I think that we've been plucking all winter. We've had fresh food from the garden pretty much every day. And while there's lots of empty beds, there's an awful lot of food here because the beds are really, really large. The plants would be even bigger, but as I was saying, the ducks got in and nibbled them. Down here we've got one lot of broad bean plants which I put in this week. Some perpetual spinach at the end there. Some leftover beetroot down there. And these plants are red Russian kale. They're starting to go to flower, but the leaves are still really nice. Some onion, spring onion behind it. Some cabbage plants that are growing into sort of kale leaves rather than round heads. And some Brussels sprouts. Now they didn't work very well at all. We got no Brussels before Christmas, and now they're all going to leaf and flower. But Brussels flowers are delicious. They taste a bit like broccoli flowers, and we're very excited to have that now, and we'll be eating it like purple sprouting. At the end here is the strawberry patch. We've tidied up a bit. You can see the ground elder is starting to take over again, so we have to do something about that. Next to it is the quince we put in last year, which is looking very happy and is growing lovely leaves. Very happy with that. And then 4 of the 5 rhubarb that we had are doing really well. If you remember, we only moved these last year, so it's their first proper year in this position, and this is good for this time of year. In the middle bed we've got more broad beans, a row of chard or perpetual spinach, I think it's chard, some spring onion, and then a really sad looking kohlrabi, but we've harvested a few of them and they actually taste okay. The flowers are very tasty too. Some more leek here that we're just letting get a bit fatter, and this is all the cavallo nero that we've managed to grow. We're hoping it's going to get a bit bigger this year. It's just been eaten by the ducks quite a lot. A few more random onion things, alliums, and then some more kale up here. This is maybe my favourite plant in here. It's a red Russian kale, which was sowed last spring. It's flowered once already, and we didn't do anything about it. We just let it do its thing. And after it was done flowering, it just grew more leaves, and they taste even sweeter. So we're trying to grow it as a perpetual kale to see what it does. So it's just flowering again. The flower buds are really tasty. And it's still producing good leaves. So yeah, it's a pretty impressive creature. It's sort of growing into a little tree, and the leaves taste really citrusy now. Absolutely delicious. I always describe the red Russian as our gateway kale. It was that made us realise kale tastes really nice. It tastes nothing like what you get in the supermarket bags. It's citrusy and buttery and fresh and just absolutely delicious. And the plant keeps going all year. Sow it once and you'll be harvesting leaves for months and months and months. So it's great yield per, for the room that you give it. And if you grow nothing else, grow a red Russian. It's amazing. At the end of this bed, there's some more kales and cabbages. including this lot here, which we'd almost given up on twice, but it's bounced back and it's still given us loads and loads of leaves. Like with the red Russian, a lot of the kales are now setting flower, but kale flowers are delicious. They're exactly like broccoli heads. So look at this bit here, for example. Just pluck it. I like to eat them raw, but you can also cook them like broccoli and they're wonderful. The top of this third bed is our orphan corner. It's our corner of leftover plants that we didn't know what to do with, so we put them in. And they've done really well. This kale has been delightful. The cabbages haven't grown into heads, but we eat them leaf by leaf anyway, so that's suited as well. There's just been lots of joy down here. Got some really nice Swiss chard here, some more cabbage type plants and other things like that. And down here we've got some more kales. These were completely decimated by butterflies last year, but have bounced back really well. And then down here we've got my pride and joy, a couple of sprouting broccoli, purple sprouting, which we've never managed to grow before. And it's just so beautiful and it's almost ready. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I keep meaning to do them regularly. I've really enjoyed looking back at last year to see where we were and what we've done, so it's a really good tool for us, let alone anyone else. But I hope you've enjoyed the wee wander around with you. Enjoy seeing how things change and develop and hearing about what we're up to. Follow us on our social media, chat to us and grow well. Bye!